Good morning. I am Jamila McMallow, and I am a love and relationship coach for high performing women. And this morning, I have come on here live because I want to talk to you about why having standards is so important when it comes to dating, and especially when it comes to dating for marriage, because I only work with women who are dating for the purpose of marriage. I do not work with women who are looking to just have multiple relationships and all of this and that. I also work with married women who want to increase the level of happiness and fulfillment in their relationship to their husband. So let's get into it. Why having standards are essential for dating, and especially when it comes to dating for marriage. Well, first and foremost, you need to have a guidepost so that you know exactly what it is that you're looking for. I was speaking with one of my former clients, and she was saying how there's so many single people right now out there, looking for love. And she said, if you don't have something to go by, then how do you, basically sift through all of the different options that are available? And so, one of the things that you need is to have a standard so that you have something to measure this man against. And we're going to talk about how to create those standards. We're going to talk about what are some standards that you definitely want to make sure that you have a little bit later in this live stream. So make sure you stay on. Or if you're catching the replay, I'll be, digging into that a little bit later in the video. But that's number one. Think about this. No matter what it is that you are doing in life, even in your job, even in your business, there are standards. And most of us, the type of women that I attract, the type of women that are in my audience, the type of women that I work with, their standard is excellence. They do everything to the top level, top notch. Their work ethic, the quality of what they produce and create, and how they show up in their relationships, like I said, especially professionally. So there's a standard. You can't just show up at work dressed any old kind of way. You can't just show up at work, let me close my email, and do whatever it is that you want to do and think that you're going to continue to work there. They have standards. And so, unfortunately, there hasn't been a whole lot of talk around what standards we should have, when we're growing up. So now here it is, we get into adulthood, and we actually sometimes don't know, well, what are the things that I should be looking for? And really, I was inspired to do this live because there's just recently so much stupid stuff floating around out here about like where a guy should take you on your first date, or, it's okay to be with a guy that can't provide what you financially. Don't look for that, as if it's not important. Just stupid, dumb stuff. And so what happens is when people say things like that, it can cause you, if you don't have a standard, to start to second guess maybe something that is very important to you. Maybe it is very important to you that a man be able to provide. Okay. Maybe it is not important to you where you go to eat on your first date. But now the internet is telling you that's how you're going to know if he. Come on, man. Really? We're like in our late 30s, 40s, 50s. That's, kid stuff. Now, I want to say this. If you're watching this on YouTube, I would appreciate it if you would please subscribe. If you're watching this on LinkedIn or Facebook, please follow me. Please please drop a comment and say what's up so I know you're here. So I can give you a shout out. And also, if you're watching the replay, then give me a hashtag replay so I know you were here. All righty. So first and foremost, you need that guidepost. You got to have something to compare these men against. The second reason why it is essential for you to have standards is that you want a man to be able to self-select. See, if you have a standard and you make that clear, then a man gets to choose. Hi, Alicia. A man gets to decide whether or not he wants to meet that standard or exceed that standard, or go, oh, she's too much trouble, I'm out, which is totally his choice and his right. But you've got to be clear about that. And here's the thing. If you are dating if you're looking for a man to date for the purpose of marriage, if you're looking for the last man you're ever going to date, if you're looking for your last first date, you need to have standards. Hey, Teresa, you need to have standards. Why? Because standards equals wife material. No man is looking for a woman who does not have standards. He's not looking for a woman that does not have standards to marry. Because in his mind, how is she going to help me level up? How is she going to help me move to the next level? How are we going to grow together? How are we going to build together if she doesn't even have any standards in her life? See, a husband and a wife, that's the closest relationship you're ever going to have with another human being is in marriage. Not even a mother giving birth to her child, because your children grow up and they leave you. But your mate, your husband, you guys stick together for life. So a wife is very often her husband's sole confidant. That means he's not telling anybody else what's in his heart. He's not telling anybody his emotions and feelings. And so he needs a woman he can trust. He needs a woman who is mature. He needs a woman who has standards and carries herself in such a way that it makes him stand up a little straighter to impress her and to feel like, wow, she is the prize, because you are. But not if you don't have any standards. Even when you go to the carnival or the fair or an amusement park and you play games, if you don't shoot the ball into the hoop, if you don't meet the standard or the rules of the game, you don't get the prize. It's no different. You must have standards if you want to be valued. And like I said, a man has the option. He can self-select out or he can choose to stay. But a man who's looking for a wife is looking for a woman who has standards. That's not a deterrent for him. That's like, okay, I see your standards. I got you. I'm gonna respect that. I like that, because that's the kind of man that you're looking for anyway. You're not looking for the man that's gonna go, well, she just thinks she all that. You're not looking for that. So great. Your standards just moved him along. So you don't even have to have no conversations with him. You have to text him. None of that. It's like, bye, have a nice day. Now there's room for the right man to come into my life. Now, the third reason why it's so critical for you to have standards, okay, is for protection. You may have never heard that before. It is protection. Because if you don't have standards, then what's going to happen is it opens you up to attract men who will try to manipulate you, who will try to use you. And let me tell you, you do not have standards if you move or shift them because of the man putting a little pressure on you, and you relinquish, you move that boundary. You kind of say, well, it was a hopeful, but it was not and so you shrink back. That's not a standard. That's not a boundary. So if that's what you have found yourself doing in past relationships, you don't have any standards. You just have things you like to say, but men can pick up on that. And the wrong man for you will pick up on that and know that she's just saying it, but I'm going to watch this. I'm about to get whatever I want from this woman because she's not serious. I can tell her what she wants to hear. I can be real smooth over here. And guess what? She's going to do exactly what I want, but we're going to act like she's got standards. We're going to act like she has boundaries, but yeah, she's not really serious about that. So your standards are a form of protection against that. But they're not really standards, and they're not really going to protect you if you're not willing to enforce them, or you're not willing to stand fully grounded in them. Okay. Now, if you don't have standards, or if you allow the pressure from the man you're dating or you're talking to cause you to move your boundaries or your standards, it diminishes your value. It diminishes your value. Tell me one thing that you have ever obtained that was very, very valuable that you did not have to work for. And not saying you had to, do all these crazy things, but that you didn't have to put forth some effort, even if only, and I won't say only because mental effort takes a lot of energy, but what was truly valuable that you did not have to put forth effort. So what makes you think in order to have access to you, a man doesn't have to meet some standards, that he doesn't have to value you and your time and who you are being. The man that is going to love you and marry you is absolutely going to value you, absolutely going to respect your standards. In fact, seeing those standards confirms for him that you are the woman that he hoped you were, because that is what he's looking for. But if you have found yourself in relationships with men, or textuationships, we won't even call them relationships because you're not even a girlfriend. You're like kicking it, whatever. And I'm gonna have something to say about that too. It diminishes your value in his eyes. You're not even on the radar for wife material. And chances are, if a man is dealing with you like that, he's not looking for a wife, or he's not the kind of man that you want to marry. There are men who are manipulative, abusive, toxic users who do want to be married and like being married and like mistreating their wives. In their minds, they're not mistreating them, but that's really what it is. And so when you have a standard or a boundary, that is repellent for men who don't want to do what you want them to do when it comes to how they're going to treat you, because you teach people how to treat you. You teach men how to treat you. So if you don't have any standards, or if you don't value yourself enough to protect yourself, what makes you think he's going to do that for you? If you don't love yourself enough or view yourself worthy enough to believe that there is a man out there who is going to absolutely celebrate the fact that you have standards and boundaries and things that you desire, and you're very clear on that, then hey, that's not going to work. You have to believe it first. Then the man will come. But how then should you come up with these standards? Like I said, we've got this craziness floating around on the internet about, oh, you need to be looking at what restaurant, you need to be focusing on, how he's texting you, let him pick the restaurant, all this stuff. Okay. But why don't we talk about what's actually important, which is, does the man have good character? Because if the man has good character, he's going to be treating you and behaving in certain ways. Okay, so that you don't have to come up with all these little silliness things that any man could do. Like, oh, I could check that box. And that's your gauge for knowing whether or not he's serious about you. That's your gauge for knowing whether or not he knows how to lovingly lead. That's your gauge for knowing whether or not he respects you and your values and your standards. That's how we're gauging it now? Really? Come on now. I don't think so. So how do you create these standards so that they truly are a real guidepost, so that they truly are so clear that a man can opt out if he sees that, yeah, no, you are out of his league? And how can they really serve as a protection? What do they need to be so that they're truly protecting you? So number one, when it comes to creating your standards, is you have to know who you are. Not just who you are, but who you are when you are at your absolute best. So that means the version of you that is healed, the version of you that has uncovered her toxic relationship patterns. Yes, we all have patterns in relationships that are unhealthy. Let's say unhealthy because maybe it's not toxic, but it's just it doesn't help us, it doesn't help the other person. So maybe it's unhealthy, but we all have patterns. Uncovering those and doing the work to change them, crush them, get rid of them. Because if you're trying to create a happy, healthy relationship with a good man, you don't want to bring anything into that could contaminate that relationship or ruin it, or not even attract that type of man into your life. So it's knowing who you are when you're in your healed state. And again, knowing who you are when you're at your absolute best. So one of the things that I came to appreciate after I went through my divorce over 10 years ago, when I was now alone and out of that relationship, I began to get back in touch with who I was. And I realized that I was not the woman that I had to become in order to survive in that relationship, in order to deal with all the emotional combat. That was not who I really was. I was actually pretty sweet and loving and kind and all these things that I had lost touch with. When you're constantly in conflict with someone, and you're on guard or they're bringing out the worst in you, you begin to feel like maybe that's who you are or that's a dominant part of your personality, and it's not. It's that you are in a situation that's not allowing you to be at your best. This person does not bring out the best in you. And no, we don't put the responsibility off on anyone else as to how we're going to choose to react or how we're going to choose to behave. But the fact is, we all at some point were in a relationship where we were unhealed, when we were not awake, when we had not discovered personal development. So we didn't know really how to take ownership of that. So when I did get out of that relationship and did wake up and realize, that's not who I am. This is who I am. I was able to recognize that I needed a husband who knew how to speak to me, who knew how to help me to stay calm, speak to me in a way that allowed me to stay calm. I'm still in control of my actions, but his way of being doesn't elicit that sort of response from me because he's not showing up in communication with me in that way. So that's just one thing that I noted was very critical for me in order to have the happy, healthy relationship that I desire to have in my marriage with my husband. And that's before I ever met him, before I even knew he existed. So that's really the key. That's how you're going to determine your standards, is by getting to know you first and who you really are, what you really need, and what you really desire. And when you think about yourself in terms of who you are when you're at your absolute best, it's what are the traits, qualities, and characteristics that a man would have to possess in order for me to remain in that state of being at my best most of the time. Let me know in the comments if that's making sense. It's making sense to me. Okay. You got to be with someone with whom you are compatible. But how do you know what's compatible to you if you don't know you? If you're still unhealed and looking for something outside of you to fix some part of you. Okay. So you got to get to know who you are. And it's those traits, qualities, and characteristics. And by the way, awesome. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Teresa. Good. I'm glad it's making sense. So when it comes to this area of a man providing support financially or being on our level financially, there's nothing wrong with that. Because the type of women that I attract into my audience, the type of women who I work with, are not women who are looking to just find a man that has money because they don't want to do anything. The women that I work with are already doing everything. They're already taking care of themselves. They already have the job, the career, the business, the house, the car. Sometimes they may have a kid or two. So they already have everything. So they're not out here looking to be saved. They're not out here looking for someone to come rescue them from their life. Okay. So I want to be clear about that. So you desiring that a man can provide for you financially does not make you a gold digger. It does not make you a woman who is, just trying to get over on a man, because the man that's going to marry you, the man that's going to meet your standards, wants to take care of you. He wants to pay the bills. He wants that money to be used to grow the life that the two of you are building together. He doesn't have an issue with that. He's not having these stupid conversations. He's not chiming in on the comments. He's not posting that nonsense online. He don't care. He's scrolling through reels, laughing at silly stuff. That's what he's doing on social media. But he's not chiming in trying to tell women what they need to be doing and all this nonsense. Your husband's not in the comments. Your husband is not in the comments. So don't even read them. When you see nonsense online, keep scrolling, because you're not going to get that time back. You're not going to get that ding to your energy back. Keep it moving, keep it flowing, keep it rolling. Okay? Because you absolutely are allowed to desire a man to be able to hold you down financially. You've been doing it on your own, and you're just tired of doing it alone. And if you're going to partner up with somebody, if you're going to become a team, then it's okay for you to want him to take the lead in that particular area, because guess what? There are things that he's doing right now in his life that he is very happy to relinquish to the right woman, to the good woman that's going to be his wife. He wants her to do. Everybody has a role. Everybody has things that they do to make the whole household, to make the whole family, to make the whole thing flow properly, like a well-oiled machine. And so the fact that you no longer want to have that as your primary responsibility is nothing wrong with that. As long as you're alone and you're single, you have to take care of yourself. Being an independent, responsible adult is what we all should aspire to be when we grow up and become grown. That is a given. So yes, of course you can pay your bills, but when you link up and get married, you're not trying to carry that weight on your own anymore. And you're not a gold digger, and you're not asking for something unreasonable. And that's fantastic if he's a nice man. Fantastic if he's kind-hearted. Great. But what is his career status and finances looking like? It's okay for you to say that too, because I'm here to tell you that men who have money, all the men who have money are not jerks. All the men who have money are not evil. There are good men who have built their careers in success, which is why they're single, because they've been so focused on their careers, who are like, okay, I have all this, but I don't have anybody to share it with. I done built all this, but I don't have anybody to come home to. This is lonely. This is sad. My house is still looking like a bachelor pad. I need a woman to come and warm things up. And you're like, I want to do that. I love doing that. Who doesn't care if you want to keep working? Who doesn't care if you want to keep building your business? But that the two of you now are coming together as one and operating as a unit and growing and achieving your goals together. So I just want to really harp on that deeply, because I know that for a lot of you women out there, this is a standard that you have, and you're getting some negative feedback and messaging around it. Please don't allow yourself to be grouped into a category of women that you do not belong. There was a song in the 90s. I can't even remember who sang it, but it was like, well, should I save her? I want to be saved. So that's the song I always think of, that sometimes certain men try to attribute to women when they say that they want a man to take care of them financially, that's the kind of woman they are, that they just want a man to come save them. And yes, we'll jokingly say, yes, I do want a man to come save me from these oil changes and to help me take the trash out and to make me feel safe at night and all those things. And there's nothing wrong with that either. Okay? Because I don't sing the anthem of I don't need no man. And I don't work with women who sing that anthem either, because it's not one of pride. It's one of hurt. It's one of survival. Okay? No, I need a man and I want a man, but I'm not desperate, and neither are my clients. But I'm okay to admit that, yeah, I like having a partner in life. There's nothing wrong with that. Please. So your standard can be that you want a man who is responsible financially, who pays his bills on time, and who desires to care for his family. Now, when you get together, you may be making maybe close to the same amount of money, or maybe he makes more, whatever. But the other part I want to tell you is your presence. If you and him are a good match, if you're compatible, he's a good man, he's got good character, good qualities, and he's already in motion, already doing the thing, not a project, not someone you're forcing to do whatever. No, just by your presence, you will elevate him, and your income as a family will go up. Because nothing motivates a man more than just taking care of his family, taking care of his wife. A good man. I won't say all men, because I don't speak for all men, but the men who want to have that piece of their life now. They want to have a family. They want to have a woman. They take pride in providing for their families. They take pride in providing for their wife. And for you to desire a man that can do that, I'm really digging this in. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, conversely, if you want to make it a superficial standard, like, well, he's got to drive this kind of car and he's got to be making this income per year, and this is, I'm going to tell you to stop right there, because yeah, that stuff is superficial, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, who is he being that is allowing him to have the desire to do the things that you want to experience from a husband? Who is he being that is allowing him to be successful in his career or to have a certain amount of financial stability and security of his life? Those are the characteristics and qualities that you're looking for. Those are your standards. So I hope this was helpful. And I hope this made sense. Oh, hey, Cecilia. Amen and amen. Yes. Okay. So, like I said, and I'm just going to iterate this point. I'm going to review all of them just so that we can review. Number one, the reason why it's important to have standards, especially when you're dating for the purpose of marriage, which is the only kind of clients I deal with, single women who want to be married, is once you have a guidepost so that you know what you're looking for. Number two, so you give men the option to self-select out, and you also give them the option to self-select in, because a man who's looking for a wife is looking for a woman who has standards. Three, so that you are protected, so that you're not out here at the whim and will of any old man who's just trying to manipulate you, and conversely, so you are not out here just trying to conform to what you think this man wants, and losing yourself in the process, devaluing yourself in the process, and doing things that don't make you feel good about yourself. And then when he leaves you worse than when you found him. Okay. So you got to stay protected. And how you're going to be able to create these standards is by focusing on you and you alone, getting to know yourself, healing, getting clear on exactly what it is that you want and desire, so that you're able to create a list of standards, an actual written list, yes, of non-negotiable relationship standards, the qualities and characteristics that you desire in a husband, and being granular about it, not superficial. I want him to be this height. I want him to be this and this. No. You're not going to put limitations on God. You're going to pray to him about what you want, but you're not going to tell him how to bless you. You're just going to be ready to receive that blessing when it comes. But you are going to be specific in what you ask for. And again, it's focusing on what's on the inside, because what's on the inside, it will be reflected in his actions. What's on the inside will be reflected in his work ethic, in his finances, all those things. So focus on what's in here when it comes to the standards that you desire in a husband. All right. So like I said, I hope this was helpful. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like this video. Please subscribe. If you're watching this on Facebook, please heart this. Share it with someone that you know needs to hear it. Same thing on LinkedIn. Please feel free to share this. Comment below. Let me know if you're watching the replay, and follow, all of the things. And I also want to let you know that if you are, let me put this up here. Yes. So if you are a single woman who desires to be married, and you're like, "Ooh, Jamila, this was great. I know that I need to do better when it comes to having standards, because I have not been attracting the type of men that I really want. They haven't really been committing. They haven't really been doing any of the things that I really want." Then you need to be at my Find Mr. Right challenge. All right. This is a challenge that I do like every 6 to 8 weeks or so. And the next one is coming up at the end of November, November 28th through 30th. And so if you don't want to go into 2024 with no hope of getting married, of being single, if you're done, if you're drawing a line in the sand, and I'm 2024 is going to be my year, well, then now is the time to start planting those seeds. Now is the time to start putting forth the effort and the energy to becoming the woman who is able to attract the man who is healthy and stable and good in all the right ways, and build a relationship leading to marriage. If that's what you want, if you're a single woman that's desiring to find a good man and build a relationship leading to marriage, then the Find Mr. Right challenge is absolutely where you want to be at the end of this month. It is November 28th through 30th. I'm going to encourage you to go VIP. Why? Because for 1 hour each day, each morning before we start the training, you get to spend 1 hour with me in a private Zoom room. Just me and you face to face on camera, you and the other VIPs, talking about whatever it is that you want to talk about when it comes to relationships with men. Bring your real life situations, your real life problems, or whatever it is that we're going to be talking about in the training. We can talk about that stuff one-on-one, but really what it's going to give you an opportunity to experience is what it's like to work with me as a coach, what it's like to work with me inside of my signature program, the Wife Prep School, specifically designed for single women who are desiring to build a relationship leading to marriage, single women who want to be married. All right. So I'm so happy. Those of you that watch live, there's a number of you that watch live. Thank you so much for being here with me. I appreciate that. I appreciate the engagement and the interaction. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. I'm going to be going live more often, but I really look forward to meeting you at the Find Mr. Right Challenge at the end of this month, November 28th through 30th. The website is scrolling across the bottom of the screen. It is literally findmrrightchallenge.com. And you know what? I'm looking right now, and that banner is not correct. So I'm going to change it right now. It is the findmrrightchallenge.com. There we go. This is why I love technology. Findmrrightchallenge.com. There we go. Now I can change it, put it back up there. There you go. Findmrrightchallenge.com. I'm also going to cycle through and make sure I add the link to the description on YouTube for this video. I'm also going to put it in the comments on Facebook and LinkedIn. So no matter which platform you are watching me on, you will get that link. Also, if you're connected to me on Instagram, it is in my bio, the Find Mr. Right Challenge. You can click on that to register. And I look forward to meeting you face to face at the end of this month. All right. Thank you for being here with me. You enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.